my parents weren't there on that day of the competition, and then they called and my dad was screaming and my mom was excited. My dad always screams when you do something.
A proud father. They say the future of our world is for the young people, but already there are lots of young people doing amazing stuff. And today on People and Places, we speak to one of these young people, a young lady who has excelled in an area not so common here in Ghana. Welcome to People and Places here on Ghanaweb TV with me, Etsey Atisu. When we return, we'll speak to her. Once again, welcome to the people aspect of People and Places here on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Etsey Atisu, and we have a guest with us here in our studios. Her name is Lois Mensah, and Lois is the 2022 overall Best Orator. You might be wondering what that is. Lois, welcome.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. And Lois is here as well with her father, Mr. Emmanuel Kwame Mensah. Mr. Mensah, it's good of you to bring your daughter to our studios this morning.
Hi, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. Lois, you look like a talkative, are you not?
I am.
You are a talkative.
Depending on the situation.
How many times does your name get into the talkative book?
So on that situation, I'm not a talkative thing.
Ooh.
Depends on, if I'm told to talk, I'll talk. I mean, I would say amongst my siblings, I talk less. Yes, so I'm not that talkative, but when I talk a lot.
Oh, interesting. And so does it come as a surprise to even yourself that you want something like this? This is overall Best Orator. That means somebody who talks. Is that not it? Does it come to you as a surprise?
No, it doesn't really, because before then, I had been to places where I had to speak publicly, but those ones weren't really official. And yeah, at home, I would be told to make presentations and give accounts. Yeah, in school as well.
So I'll take it that this started from home?
Because started from home.
And is it dad who was coaching you, mom?
Both,
exactly?
Both, actually. Every Saturday, we would be told to give a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation on how our week went, and my dad would sit in the living room, and we are 4 girls, so each of us would give a roundup of how our week went in every aspect, physically, spiritually, academically, socially. And that way we were able to build presentation skills where you're speaking to people and telling them what's going on. So with that occasion, we're telling them what's going on in our week. Yes. And there were times where dad would call you and ask you how your day went, and then you're told to, you're not really told, but you're taught to go straight to the point. Yeah. And mommy too would ask you questions and expect straightforward answers. Those things really help us to not beat around the bush when we are talking and get straight to the point. All of it in the public speaking.
It seems like your parents are already grooming you for something like this, a day like this, to become the overall Best Orator. But how does it really feel to be the one who is touted as the best talker in Ghana today?
It feels really good. It feels rewarding. It's, should I say, surprising and not surprising at the same time. It feels like these things that you have are appreciated. I really didn't, honestly, I didn't take it seriously. In school though, my English teachers will ask me to give the vote of thanks, lead visitors. You know, I knew that I was good publicly, but I didn't really see it this far.
That's interesting. Just so we're on the same page, we need to let our viewers know that this award scheme is the Orators Award, which is an inter-schools competition, more or less, between senior high schools, and it cuts across both public and private schools. So Lois being here as the overall best only means that she puts in a lot of work. But let's get to understand even more about the competition. When you were in the competition, how did you first of all hear about the competition?
Okay, so in school, my English teacher had recommended me to, I think, a debate supervisor in our school when the thing came up that there was a debate going on. In the past, I had been recommended, so this was the second recommendation. And then I was led to Sir Jude, who gave us a brief on what was going to happen and then started training us.
Interesting. Now, so the competition was in stages. Do you know how many people you were up against?
I'd say 28 because there were 14 schools, 2 representatives each.
From each school?
Yes.
Okay, from across the country. And then, but it's intriguing. Your school is Chemu Senior High, and your school emerged overall 4th in position. But you were the first. How did that come to be? What did you do differently?
How do I say it? I'm even still digesting that too. But I purposely deliberately worked on the impromptu because during training we were asked to think on the spot, and our coach had trained us, given us just 10 seconds to think and then deliver on the spot. But then when we got to the competition, we were given thrice that time, and so we're used to strict and severe coaching where we're given just 10 seconds. But when we got there, we're given 30 seconds. And since we're used to that strict thing, we had a lot of time to organize our thoughts and deliver exactly how we should deliver.
Again, it seems you never even knew you were being prepared for such a day, from home to when your coach was taking you through 10 seconds of impromptu speaking. I don't know if I can do that in 10 seconds, but that's impressive. But with the competition, did you just have to speak, just speaking? What did the competition really entail?
Okay, so there were 3 rounds of competition. The first round was a prepared speech round where we had already been given topics, 10 topics. We were told to select one, prepare a speech, and then we would speak on them on that day. So I had chosen a topic, should plastics be banned, for my first round, and I wrote on it with the help of my mom and my dad. And then I rehearsed it, got conversant with my own speech, and then delivered on that day my first round. Then there was a second where there was the impromptu round where I would be on stage and the judges would give me a topic, 30 seconds to think on it and 2 minutes to deliver, and then I would do that. So my topic for that particular competition was the myth of imperfections. So I delivered on that topic. Myth of imperfections? Yeah.
Okay. Why that topic before you go ahead?
I have no idea. They just give me a topic.
Oh, that's what was given to you by...
Yeah, on the spot. So the judges give it to me.
And you delivered?
Yes, I did.
And the third one?
In the third round, where only the 4 top schools get to that round, and then we are given a motion. We ballot for... Did we ballot? We ballot for or against. And then my school balloted for the motion. If I remember correctly, our motion was we should reserve seats in parliament for candidates under 30, and we were for the motion, and we were against Legacy Girls that day, who were against the motion.
So that was your school was against Legacy Girls?
Yes.
Wow. While you were saying all this, it sounded like this was an easy thing for you to do, but was it in any way challenging? Did you get to a point where you wanted to give up? Or this all came easy for you?
I wouldn't say, even though I can confidently say that stage fright isn't something I'm battling, there's always this thing you have in your body when you're speaking to a crowd. It's just that. And you're thinking that, are they listening to me? Are they enjoying what I'm saying? Are they following? And sometimes you're tempted to think that they are not following. And then what makes it interesting is that you go out of your way to make them follow what you're saying and, try to let them enjoy what you're telling them. Let them know that you're given to the crowd. When I was preparing for this competition, there was a video I watched where my coach has sent it to me, and then the speaker was telling us that when you're always talking to a crowd, make sure that you are given to them and you're not taking from them. Let them be the receptors of whatever information you're trying to put across. So I had that in mind and made sure that whatever I'm saying is to their benefits, because I'm speaking to them and I want them to accept what I'm saying. I want them to listen to what I have to say. Yeah.
And now you're overall best orator. How did it come to your school? How your classmates, everybody else, how did they receive this news?
Okay, my dad called me when I was there. My parents weren't there on that day of the competition, and then they called and my dad was screaming and my mom was excited. My dad always screams when you do something
proud father.
good. Yeah. And then my friends were cheering and supporting. Yeah, they were really good. And I got to school and everyone was just there to receive me. It was very nice.
Interesting. Mr. Mensah, I see you smiling the whole time.
Okay.
Interesting. This is your daughter. She's already told us a little of how proud you were when you received the news. But tell us, what kind of daughter is she?
Yeah, Lois is a good girl. I mean, good is something we take quite seriously. Is to be ordinary and do your duty joyfully. So, like she said, I mean, life is just what you put to it ordinarily. So, I was happy. I was happy that what we were doing in secret, without a plan, without an aim, without saying that, oh, we are preparing ourselves for this, had found relevance. And I think that that's quite refreshing, so that for all of us, we get to know that the Bible says time and chance happens to us all. The race is not for the swift, the battle is not for the strong, food is not for men of wisdom, favor is not for men of understanding. So that's where the joy comes from. And to see that, I mean, with Lois, like she said, she's not a cheap talker, so to speak.
Cheap.
I might be a cheap talker. I mean, don't invite me, raise a topic, I'll talk. Okay, don't invite me. So, but Lois won't talk because you have raised the topic. She might have interest in it. You have to call her to talk, and when you call her to talk, she would speak. So her keeping quiet is not a bluff. It's not like, I'm not interested, I don't want you.
Is that to say she absorbs him more?
Exactly.
So she can...
Exactly.
Okay.
And then can come up with the best. You know, we used to talk about it at home, a workshop where a man enters the room and asks the participants to give their views about how the workshop was going, and he would give a prize, and everybody spoke quite quickly. You know, the last person just waited for everybody and summarized what everybody said, and he got the prize. So
very smart.
Yeah. So that's the joy of it, and given the fact that we were mentioned, this is about speaking, and speech is the distinct feature of human beings among God's creation. So to be able to speak itself is a big thing. Your vocal cords, your voice, but to be able to be an orator. So an orator is somebody who speaks sensibly to an issue, to a crowd, and is expected, in fact, is expected to move them. Okay, so the difference between an orator and a mere speaker is to move people. The Speaker of Parliament will speak structured. He doesn't move anybody, but he has said the facts, he has the authority. He's not an orator. But an orator is somebody who is speaking to the facts structured, and he inspires you to act. And I'm happy for a competition like this. And I think that's a brilliant opportunity for our young people to have a platform to put themselves together so that you can present something logical, you can present something inspiring, and hopefully you can present something you are doing really, or you would do, not to be a cheap speaker.
When the news got to you, she says you were excited, you were screaming. What was going through your head?
Yeah, so when I was screaming, nothing goes through your head at that time.
Very true.
Yes, but what makes you to start screaming is that there is a response to your effort, relevance. Like your effort has been respected. So it's like, wow. And more wow when you didn't expect it, And in a certain sense, apart from the week of preparation that we had not prepared for anything like this. And that's the beauty of it, when your preparation is not inspired by an expected reward, but it's inspired by your sense of duty. You just have to be prepared in life, because as they say, opportunity is when preparation meets chance. If you don't have chance and you're not prepared, some things will not be opportunities. Okay, so that's why I screamed.
That's nice.
Yes, yeah.
Interesting. Is Loise your last daughter?
No, she's my second of 4. And okay, so we call them the Base girls, B-I-S-E. So Base. Phoebe is their elder sister. She got to the university at 15 years. Ooh. She finished at 19. She's registered a company. She's doing stuff on her own. So she's brilliant. And I'm saying this without pride. I'm saying this with very open honesty. With pride, yeah.
Yes, a lot of it. I was going to ask, why not with pride? Because every father should be proud of
So Phoebe is brilliant. She's the B. Lois is the I. Lois is intelligent. So she's intelligent. You get it. Yeah. And she takes time and she says it. Sometimes she misses it totally. But when intelligent people miss it, you don't see it if you're not intelligent. The person has deviated, but you can't tell because it's intelligent. So Lois is the intelligent one. Phoebe is the brilliant one. She sparkle when you least expect. And then Orators is the smart one. She's the third of them. She's smart. Like, she's quick. She thinks on her feet. I'm sure she will admit. Orators says she's better. She says Orators is better.
so between the two of them.
Yes. And then the last one is Orator. Orator is E, excellent. Okay, so like she's all around. Like she's cleaned up for all of them. What we couldn't do for all of them because we weren't experienced, we put all in Orator. So they're good. And for us as parents, what makes this nice is that they challenge us. Okay, so sometimes old people think that they're there to help young people, but we find out that you become an old person who is better because you interact with young people, because they bring things up to you which will challenge you. They'll ask you questions. In our home, we don't take no for an answer, and we don't say, I don't know. I mean, like, what's the meaning of I don't know? They ask you a question and say, you don't know. I mean, why? If you don't know, look for it and say that I'll look for it. I mean, you don't have to pretend you know anyway. So don't end at I don't know.
But always show that you want.
Exactly. So there's a lot of challenge, and I guess it's the same in many homes, and we are seeing it. I just watched the competition after it was shared with me, and I realized that the other contestants were very, very good. I mean, the guys from Achimota, they spoke well. They blew the thing. The preset guys were disappointed, but they did well. The legacy guys, it was good. So I'm quite proud and happy about Ghanaian young people. And my expectation is that the ability to speak well will translate into the ability to behave well. Because if we miss that, then that will be a problem. Then the trust will be lost in society, because you meet people who speak well, who give you all the promises, and then it doesn't happen, and then you lose trust. And so I think that the opportunity we have now is to tax people like Lois. You have said this very nicely. Okay, you spoke about plastics. Okay, so what happened to your plastic waste? So do you understand? So to translate what you said into real character, then we'll be developing.
Wonderful. You know, as you speak, I'm learning so much from you, Lois. Would you say your dad is your biggest inspiration? Because me, just listening to him, I'm inspired.
My biggest inspiration.
Maybe not your biggest, but he's part of it.
He is part of it.
Okay.
He is part of my inspiration because he's as he said, he's always talking, and when he gets opportunities to speak on radio, he would carry us along, and then he wouldn't just make us sit there, he would make us speak. And the thing is, sometimes we would get mad that he told us just that morning and that you are going to the studios with me, and we know that we are going to speak and we feel so unprepared. So I'll say it's an impromptu one, and then we speak in the studios with him on topics that we just heard about. So he's part of my inspiration, and I always say God is also one of my inspirations, and my mom. My mom would always tell me to speak properly. I have this thing where I'm speaking fast, like I'm speaking fast and I'm saying a lot of things, very important things, but no one's really getting what I'm saying. So I had to teach myself to speak and to be heard.
Okay.
Because sometimes people speak but no one hears them. And my grandma and my mom would tell me, Lois, we're not hearing what you're saying. And then I would have to open my mouth and actually speak, because it's painful when you speak a lot and you realize that no one actually heard what you're saying. Yeah, so that, my mom's also one of my biggest inspirations as well. She's always taking us to book fairs, keeping us in the line for books. In the house, there's this library where you ask my dad a question and he won't answer you. Have you read this book? And because you'd want to know the answer, he wouldn't give it to you cheap. You would have to go in for the book, and then you learn so much, so much. Yeah, so my parents actually
are your biggest inspiration. Yeah. And already I feel like being part of your home. Anyway, this is still the people aspect of People and Places. Thank you very much, Mr. Mensah, for coming. But right after this break, we're going to speak to Lois's coach. He's going to join us here on set, and we'll have even more of this conversation. Don't go away.
Let's learn something interesting about Ghana. Ghana is one of the biggest producers of shea butter. The northern region of Ghana is where this native butter is primarily produced. Aside from skincare purposes, shea butter can also be used for preparing local foods. That's all for this week on Facts About Ghana. Until next time, let's get back and join Etsey Atisu and his guests.
Welcome back from the break. This is still People and Places here on Ghanaweb TV. Jude Kwejiri Agri just joined us. And Jude is Lois's coach. Jude, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You must feel like a proud coach right now.
Definitely, yeah.
Tell us, how did it all begin for you, the process to getting here to become the best orator?
Okay, so I actually was an alumnus, or should I say, I am an alumnus of Chemu Senior High School. So in my time, that was back in between 2011 to 2014. Yes, pretty long time, but I'm not that old. So I was competing in public speaking and debate competitions, and so the kind of exposure, the experience, and the value I gained from there, I knew that's something I'd want to pass on to other students. So ever since I completed Chemu Senior High School, I go back every year. I get alumni from the debate club as well to go back to the school and help the debate club prepare for different competitions, as many as possible, public speaking, debates, I mean, just to give them that experience and to pass on that value. So I can confidently say the debate club has been active and relevant in various competitions over the years. So this year was another year of going back. Even though I'm working and everything, I still wanted to go back and help. And I noticed this competition, which was being advertised by Speech Forces. Now, Speech Forces are an organization that really help the youth, professional bodies, and various individuals to improve their communication through public speaking and debate. And so one of the competitions they had advertised was the Orators Public Speaking Championship. And I thought, wow, it's been a long time since Chemu took part in a public speaking competition, so why not? Yeah. So I got in touch with them, got in touch with the school, and thankfully we have a good relationship because I've been coming over the years. And so I spoke to Mr. Onukpa. He's one of the English teachers at Chemu and a very, very dedicated teacher. Shout out to him and Madam Anita. So we got in touch with the headmistress, tried to get permission, get the letter signed and everything. It was a bit of a rush. And so finally, when we had registered and everything, we had just 5 days to prepare for the competition.
5 days?
Yes, 5 days, because that was the Monday before the Saturday the competition was supposed to start. So he recommended Lois as someone who could possibly take part in the competition. We had a number of people, also good speakers with very good potential, but we had to select 2 people. You know how that feeling is. I mean, you have so many good people, but then you need to choose just 2 people to take part. And so after the first encounter with all of them, of course, I didn't make my decision right away. I was working with another alumnus. His name is Daniel Bing, and I thank him as well, because even though he was sick, he was still helping with training virtually.
Okay.
So we basically had to set a training calendar for the week from Monday to Friday. So I spoke to them on the first and I told them, guys, I know it's going to be stressful. They had tests that week, actually. That was their last week of school. Yeah,
okay.
They had tests every day of that week. And I told them...
A lot of things must have been going wrong. I mean, we're already going wrong for you, but you're able to sail through. Yeah,
so we got them a schedule. So we're going to meet in person 3 times and twice virtually when they get home from school. So that's from 7:30 p.m. to about 9 p.m.
Wow.
Yes. So after 3 days of trying them on the various rounds, preparing them for the various rounds, we thought that, okay, I think our final decision would be Lois and one other lady, Melifa, for the competition, because we looked at the level of preparedness and I had no idea about
all the
background
she had come from.
So it all makes sense now.
Okay.
It all makes sense now. We're looking for the level of preparedness and the ability to handle the pressure and all of that within this short period of time, because I'm pretty sure other schools also had tight deadlines, but I think for most of them they got the information a little earlier. But I'm just grateful to God that we were able to make use of the short period of time we had. And on that day, as you know, she was the best orator. Chemu got to the final. She won the best impromptu speech, and her colleague Melifa was also a bronze medalist for the category as well. So yes, that's the process. I believe
it's appropriate to just say congratulations to you as well.
Thank you
for being part of this journey for Lois. Lois, now that you are the best orator, what do you want to do in future? This question is asked often. What's your career path going to look like?
I initially wanted to be a lawyer, so I'd
still pursue it.
And then I got into science. I do science in school. I'm a science student.
Okay.
And then I got keen interest in neurology. Yes, so I read books on neurology, and yeah, that's where my mind is now. And I'm not disputing the law thing that I want to do. So it's science and law.
I guess it would be a nice combination, a neurologist and a lawyer. I guess with your brain you can do that. Very possible.
I hope.
Is that not possible? You can do the 2 professions.
Yes.
It would be nice. One day I can look back and say, I know this neurologist who is also a lawyer.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Apart from the public speaking and all that, what other things you do? You're a young lady. What kind of interest do you have apart from the reading and other things?
Okay, so I like to work out. I started doing basketball in JHS. Right now it's minimized because of school and all. But yeah, I like to work out and I draw. So yeah, so drawing and then basketball. Yeah, and then what? I have interest in Spanish that I have not been, Spanish too. And then my dad is a language person, so everyone learns a language. And then everyone plays an instrument.
Okay.
Yes.
Which instrument do you play?
So I'm learning the viola.
Oh, violin.
Yes.
I want my daughter to do that as well.
Yeah, so that's that aside all of that. So language, instrument, sports.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it, I guess.
Your life looks packed, eh? Is there space for other, maybe less, how will I even describe them? Less time-consuming or less intellectual things, do you have time for some of those things?
I do. I know. I think I do, but I feel like there's a time for everything.
Okay.
So even if there's time for that kind of space to be, then you put that time into maybe studying or accomplishing what you've prepared yourself to accomplish. So that time, it actually depends on me how I want to make that time. If I want time for less intellectual things, I would create that time. But I feel like there shouldn't be time for that. From what my parents would tell you, that yes, you can create the time for that. Sometimes we would create timetables and present it to my parents, and oh, you can't do this, create another timetable and create another timetable. And then my dad would tell you that there's time for everything, and you create the time because everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, and so you can't complain about being too busy. So I've learned to create time for the things I prioritize. That's my studies and my music and language. Yeah.
Do you cook?
Do I cook? I wouldn't say I do.
You don't cook?
No, I don't cook.
Okay. Now that you are best orator, I know that this is just the stepping stone. There are bigger platforms, international platforms like TED Talk. Do you see yourself speaking at TED Talk one day or any other?
I started seeing myself just recently because it was my videos, seeing these TikTok speakers preparing for the competition, like, oh, these speakers are really good. And in every video I watched, I learned a new thing. And if I could get to that point where someone will also watch me on that platform and learn something, I would be very grateful. So, of course, I look forward to being on big platforms like TED Talks and everything. Yeah.
I want to just find out from you. You've partaken in this competition. Do you think that we need a lot more of such competitions in this country for young people like yourself?
We do, we really do, because even after this competition, I got other people asking me, I didn't know, on my Instagram, where people text me and be like, I write poems, but I have stage fright. There was this Muslim girl who texted me just recently, and she loves to write and she loves to talk, but then she has the stage fright thing and she doesn't see herself anywhere, but she knows that she's really good at it. And when we create these opportunities for young people to believe that whatever they are facing, whether it's stage fright or being not confident, we would boost that kind of confidence. If we lay low and we don't pull them to the stage, nothing's going to happen. So I think that yes, these things are very, very much needed, because there are a lot of young people who are doing great things, greater things and wonderful things that we need to bring out as a country. Yeah.
All right, Jude, let me come back to you. Now that you've been able to help give us an overall best orator in this country, what's the future for the things you're already doing in your school going to be like?
Well, I think this is definitely a stepping stone and will be an inspiration for a lot more students to learn to build the skill in public speaking. And like what was said earlier, I really hope there are more competitions for young people to take part in. I'm so happy whenever I see, for instance, the National Science and Maths Quiz and the impact it's made and the interest it's generated. I'm really hoping for more of such things. There was actually a competition called the Young Debaters Public Speaking Competition. Yes. I'm sure you've heard of it before. Yes, I actually took part in it in 2013 when I was at Chemosini High School. So it comes in from time to time, and I really hope there are a lot more firms or corporations that support that and other competitions, because the ability to speak is so important.
Yes.
And I think little by little we're getting rid of this stereotype that it's for art students, or at the university it's for the political science students, because Lois is a science student. And some of the best speakers I've had the chance to meet, for instance, when I was in Legon, the University of Ghana debate site, some of the best speakers were pharmacy students, some of them were doing nursing, I mean different fields. So no matter the field you find yourself in, the ability to communicate is exceptionally important in working with teams, leading teams, because communicating and getting your idea across and helping people to work towards a particular goal is, I think it's underestimated. So I'm available to help with training. I mean, if there are competitions that are around and they need someone to coach in that regard, I'm more than happy to do that. And especially, I mean, I'm dedicated to Chemu, so whenever they need me, I'm always there for them.
That's a wonderful one. Lois, now that you are here, I don't know if, have you had any other opportunities? Has this opened you up to anything that we're not aware of? Scholarships, any gigs, anything like that?
So recently I heard of the Ghana AU conference thing. Yes, where the best orators from this competition were recommended to speak to later in October. Yes, and then there's one next year, April. Those are the ones I'm aware of that I'm hoping to make the best of when they come.
Okay,
yeah.
Wonderful. That means you're going to explore a lot of those opportunities. But I want to say thank you and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Mr. Mensah. Thank you all. And so this has been People and Places here on Ghanaweb TV with me, Etsey Atisu. We are hopeful that as we share the story of Lois Mensah, a lot more young people can take some inspiration from this. Remember, there is news when you log on to www.ghanaweb.com. Until another time, be safe.